You open the renewal form because it's blocking your screen. Same account, same service, a single button marked Continue. You click it to get back to what you were doing. And that click quietly changes what you're allowed to expect. That's the paradox. The step meant to keep things the same is the moment the system shifts underneath you. The first situation feels harmless: a yearly renewal notice, an online account prompt, a message saying your access will pause unless you confirm. The wording is neutral, administrative, almost apologetic. You're not choosing anything, you're just removing an obstacle. Later, something behaves differently. A charge applies that never used to. A limit appears where there wasn't one. A request that once passed now stalls. When you question it, there's no argument, just a reference to the version you accepted during renewal. You don't remember accepting anything new because the system wasn't looking for attention, it was looking for timing. The second situation doesn't even mention terms. It's a form, a required update, a compliance check. Your access depends on completion, not agreement. You answer familiar questions: name, status, confirmation. Everything looks identical to last year. What changes isn't the information, it's the category your answers place you into. A background rule fires. Your account takes a different route through the system. No notification, no explanation. Weeks later, you notice delays you didn't earn, extra checks you didn't trigger, a sense that you're being handled differently without being told why. When you ask, the response is calm. That's the workflow after renewal. The third situation feels even safer because it's framed as universal. Everyone's terms are being updated, nothing personal, nothing urgent. The option isn't really a choice: accept and continue or lose access. So you continue. What changes isn't the headline promise. It's how the system is allowed to respond when something goes wrong. Decisions that used to involve discretion are now automatic. Exceptions still exist, but only if you reach them from the correct path, and you never see that path. The system didn't remove your protections, it rearranged when they're allowed to apply. And that rearrangement happens when you're least likely to notice. Not during a dispute, not during a failure, during maintenance. Renewal is the quietest moment in the entire life cycle. You're cooperative. You want continuity, you want the screen to go away. That's when the system can tighten definitions without resistance. Not sharply, incrementally. A responsibility shifts, a condition narrows, a default replaces a judgment call. Nothing looks unreasonable on its own, but together, they change how blame is assigned later. When consequences appear, they don't point back to renewal. They point at you. You didn't meet the criteria, you triggered the rule, you failed to comply. The system never says it moved the line while you were trying to keep things running. It doesn't need to. From its perspective, everything happened cleanly. You agreed at the correct moment. The record reflects cooperation. The uncomfortable truth isn't that you missed the details. It's that details were never the leverage point. These systems don't depend on people being careless. They depend on people being reasonable. They're built around the assumption that you value smoothness over scrutiny, that you'll choose continuity over interruption. The paradox is this: the more reliable you are, the easier you are to reposition. And the vulnerability isn't inattention, it's your instinct to keep things moving.